This episode is proudly supported by OpenTable.
Nearly 1/3 of diners are booking same day. So they're making those decisions on the spot. And 10% are making their bookings within just a few hours. And so it's why it's so important to have booking software like OpenTable, which allows your diners to discover you. And so when restaurants are on platforms like OpenTable, they're much more likely to be discovered. We help diners to connect to restaurants. Ultimately, having technology, using technology, helps you to reattach to those diners.
Experience the power of OpenTable. For an exclusive offer, visit restaurant.opentable.com.au/DITW.
I truly believe that when you are loving something and you put your heart in, it's actually transmitted to other people. You really can feel the love that you put on something. I think with food, it really connects with me. So I really hope that people can feel that.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Capturing a sense of place in cookery is as challenging as translating the food of your cultural heritage in a modern context. But Australia has a rich tapestry of people either from or with family lineage from all over the world. It's what has made our culinary landscape so fascinating, an opportunity to share different styles, techniques and combinations, but immerse and express that through the context of place and local ingredients. Olivia Serrano is the co-owner and co-chef of Lola's in Ballina in northern New South Wales. Olivia, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. It's good to have you on the show. You've taken the plunge and opened your first venue after a pretty tumultuous period of time. What did it feel like to open the doors of Lola's?
Well, we opened on April this year, and at the beginning we thought, yes, we can do this. And then when COVID started to get a bit, difficult for the hospitality sector, we thought, well, what have we done? But we've been actually extremely lucky because the community in Ballina has been supporting us through all these months, and it's been incredible journey.
What was it like setting up the restaurant? Can you take us through the moments of finding the site and building the dream?
Well, it was a little bit challenging because Ballina is a very small town in the regional New South Wales, and it has a lot of commercial spaces for offices, but not so much for hospitality venues. So it was a bit tricky finding the spot that had, all the things that you need to have for complying for a hospitality business. It was. We ended up taking over all retail pastry pasta shop, and we just went through the regular stuff that you need to do with the council and approvals and all that. And finally, after 4 months, we create Lola.
And tell us about Lola. What does it like to eat there, and what's the food like?
Well, I am Spanish, and Rosa, the other co-chef and co-owner, and my girlfriend, she is Italian. So we're trying to bring a little bit of our European heritage and the way that we like to eat in communal. We shared everything. It's not like I have my entry and my main and my dessert. For us to eat is to share with the people that you come to eat with. And so we have a little bit of everything from dishes that are very close to us because either our family, grandmothers, or someone in our family did that for us in the past. And then through our, exploring other cuisines like Asian cuisine and we're just trying to be creative and mix everything up.
You mentioned you're from Spain. Can you take us back to Spain? What sort of role did food play for you when you were young?
Well, I grew up in a family where food was kind of like the main thing. It didn't matter if you were sad or if you're happy. Everything was about food, family, and coming together. I think that was the purpose of life. My grandparents were survivors of the Spanish Civil War, and I think for them came to a point where they realized the family was very important, and to host occasions with the family and with food was kind of like the purpose in life of how they wanted to transmit the heritage to the kids and the kids, the whole family. So yeah, I was very little, and I don't remember this, but my parents said that when I was little, I used to just sleep in a little cot in the kitchen while my grandmother was cooking dinner, cooking lunch, just hanging in there looking at her.
Tell us a bit about Spanish food and the sort of feasts that you had growing up.
Well, I think Spanish food is very diverse, and I grew up in a little town in the south of Spain, so my family felt comfortable with a little bit like Middle Eastern flavors. A lot of cumin, a lot of smoked paprika, those flavors. I remember, my grandmother cooking from big pots with legumes and chorizo and pork, and to salads and desserts, and it was a very elaborated menu. I could not believe that these women, they spend hours and hours just cooking all day for the family, and once you finished, you just started to think about what were you going to do for dinner. So it was kind of like an eating marathon.
What was it that lured you to a career as a chef?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know that you could. When I finished high school, I was going to go to university to study engineering, and I was not really sure. But a friend of mine said, "Oh, if I don't get into this degree, I'm going to go to cookery school." And I was like, "Really? Like, do people go into cookery school to cook for people?" And she was like, "Yeah, like you can do it professionally." I was like, that sounds like fun, good and fun. I did the application and they say yes. So I started a journey for 3 years, because in Spain works a little bit different. At least, when I was studying a long time ago, it was like 2 years you do theoretical classes, and then you spend 6 months on like a work placement. And I did that, and I went to do my work placement to a very good restaurant, and I really loved it. I really loved the cooking part, but also the energy, the adrenaline that you get during service, and how, I don't know, I just fell in love with the energy. And I thought, okay, this is my thing.
Do you have any stories from that time in those early years when you were learning your craft?
No, I think just normal stories. You work long hours, but you feel enthusiastic and you feel like part of a team, and then you just go through service and tiring. You work like 15 hours a day, and then the next day you do it again and again and again, and you just become really close friends with the people from work, and you're young. It's fun. I think everything was like really fun, and you felt really young and really fun.
In your time working in Spain, is there any sort of key moments or really important people that you worked with that sort of set you on the path that you've been on?
I think I have to say that when I work in Spain, it was good places, but it was more like nothing fine dining, nothing refined until I came to Australia, and suddenly I ended up working in three-hat restaurants, and I thought, oh, this is a different game. this is challenging in many different ways, and it was really good. I ended up working at Claude's, which was an old French restaurant in Woollahra. And at that time, Locke was the head chef, and Joe Ward was head sous chef. And I became really good friends with Joe Ward, and kind of I call her, she was my mentor. She's my mentor and good friend. And we kind of started a journey together. Like, I worked with her in, I would say, 4 different places that she opened. And yeah, I would say that Jo is one of the persons that she has changed my life as a chef in many, yeah.
In what ways did she impact you?
I think she impacted me in very being committed to what I was doing and focus. And I learned a lot of things from her, from the cooking and also as a business. Like, I guess without noticing, she mentored me in a very wide landscape in chefing, in cooking, in really care for what you do, when you're doing it, for your products, for respect what are you doing. And also from the business point of view, she taught me a lot too. And I think thanks to her, I'm able to know more about how to create my own restaurant.
What led to your decision to move to Australia?
It actually was for love. Like, I just met my girlfriend in Spain, and I was really young. I didn't know how to speak English, and I was ready to go to London. And I met her, and she was like, well, we speak English in Australia as well, and if you want to come on for our holidays. And I thought, that sounds very interesting. And also I knew that Australia had a lot of my Asian migration, and I was very interested in Asian cuisine, because I think in Spain at that time, we have a lot of influence from French, Italian, Spanish, a little bit of Middle East, but not much Asian cuisine. And I thought, when you live in Spain, you think, you take for granted that Asia they have a lot of similarities. But then when you get deeper in the ingredients and the techniques and the things, the way they do things, you realize that it is an amazing universe. And for me, I was fascinated by that. It's like, wow, this is ingredients that I never heard of, or the things the way they do things. It was mind-blowing for me. So I was like, okay, I think Australia has a lot of ticks.
What was it like when you first got here? Were you surprised by the culinary landscape and the restaurants that were operating?
I have to say that when I came, I couldn't speak any English. So I didn't want to move into looking for the work in high-end restaurants, because it's like, it's going to be very challenging for me and for them. So I kind of tried to get some, jobs in a very low-end cafes and things like that. And then as my English got better, I started to look for more like higher profile restaurant, and that is how I ended up in Claude's.
You mentioned that it was a 3-hat restaurant at the time, and it was really quite challenging and a new level. What did you take out of that in regards to chefing?
Well, it was. I think the high performance at every single minute that you have to have for for the 12 hours that you work there, it is no room for mistake. Is no room for, okay, I do this tomorrow. And I mean, it was a very small restaurant, and so we were a really small brigade. So we were 4 chefs, and every chef had a section. So you were in charge of your own section from everything, every single dish. So you didn't have another 3 or 4 people to do the garnish for you or to do all the things for you. Like you were 100% in there. And I think to have the responsibility for me, it was a little bit overwhelming at the beginning because of my English as well. But yeah, I think I think looking back, it was a great experience. And sometimes I think about, wow, these people were crazy. Like I could not understand English very well. My communication skills were not that good. But they gave me the chance, and I think it's like, okay, well, it makes me think, okay, maybe I'm okay with chef. If I can pull up a job on my 3-head restaurant without not much English, maybe I'm okay with my skills.
You were lured by the chance to explore the influence of Asia on the culinary landscape in Australia. What was that like for you, that exploration that you then went on with the restaurants you worked with?
It was amazing. Like I remember working in China Line, which was modern Cantonese, and seeing things that I'd never seen, ingredients never seen. But also, it was fantastic, the relationship of the co-workers. We have people from Thailand, from Korea, from Indonesia. The multicultural heritage of those chefs that I work with, it was amazing, because I learn from dishes that I have to do, but also from the experience and knowledge for other chefs. And for me, that was, I think for me, learning from other people is one of the biggest points of being a chef. I feel extremely excited when people can teach me things, because I love learning. So
you spent time at Chocho-san as well, which is almost like a modern izakaya. What did you take from your time there?
I think definitely to know more about Japanese cuisine and the way they cook. A lot about fermentation. I didn't know much about how soy sauce was made, how a lot of miso is made, and the way that they cook things as well. I think to dig deeper into the ingredients and procedures that cultures do in it. I think that was one of the most interesting things that I took from Chocho.
Did that have an impact on the way that you cook now at Lola's? And is there some examples of dishes where the sort of that Asian influence is weaving through the menu?
Yeah, definitely. We always have a fish raw dish in the menu. And actually, to learn how to cut sashimi, which it is pretty interesting, because the sushi chef who actually taught me how to cut the fish, he said that they do sushi chefs in Japan. They do that for 10 years. They have to learn how to cut the fish for 10 years. And for me, it was like, what? You spend 10 years cutting fish? So it was amazing to see him filleting the fish and cutting the fish. It was amazing. And I think taking that and being able to put it into the menu, having those skills, and also playing with the Japanese flavors, definitely you can see those reflections in our menu, because we always have one dish to resemble those memories from Chocho-san. Yeah.
Is there a dish or two on the menu that you can tell us about that kind of exemplifies the way that you both work together in the kitchen?
What else? I think for example, we have the Ballina prawn bun, which we make our own milk buns, and that is very Rosa. She loves baking, and she's very a master of pastry, so she can make anything. And for me, it's a skill that I definitely don't have. I don't have the patience, and she does. So I really admire that she's able to do these things. And then we thought, oh, well, Ballina is famous for the prawns, so we wanted to do something with prawns. And I have an age with cocktail prawn. It was famous in the 80s, so we thought, this reminds me my childhood in my family, when you just get the really tacky cocktail prawn in a glass. It was famous because it was very simple. I think my mom was tired of cooking, so it's like, okay, I just slice some lettuce and give some prawns, and here we go. So we combine that in that dish, and it's actually one of our most popular dishes. Like, it is delicious. It's a little bit like similar to the American lobster roll. So yes. And I think it's because she is Italian, and we have some pasta dishes in the menu, and I think she brings the tradition, and I try to twist, the Italian heritage. They get a little bit upset when you change tradition. So I always challenge her in a way, and we trying to come up with yummy dishes. They have the tradition that it appeals to you, but also have the twist and put a little bit of creativity on them.
Are there challenges and benefits to working and living with your business partner and personal partner?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think it's, I feel like I could not have a better partner in many sense in life and in the business, because we both come from that heritage with food. Is our passion, because we had that since we were kids. Like, we both very passionate. It is no a moment that we don't think about food and sharing with family or with friends. It's very connected to us. And I think that transferred to the business, where we both in the same page that what is important for us and what is important for the business, and how do we those two things come across to people. So it obviously, we two at the same time that we sometimes in the same page, sometimes we are individuals as well, and we have our own perspective on things, and sometimes that becomes really challenging. But I think in the end, we both have the same core when it comes to food and hospitality, and we bring that together. I want to believe in the same way.
You're heroing the local Ballina prawns with a prawn cocktail bun. How important are local ingredients and producers in what you do?
I think it is one of the most important things that as a chef you want to be looking in when you have in your own restaurants. I think supporting the local farmers, go and see where your product comes from, and knowing how the farmers, why they have the product, how did they treat it. It is part of the circle of feeling connected to what you do and what you have putting on the plate. I think it's for us is one of our first principles, that to be connected to what is around here and what can we do to make that product available for a lot of people that they haven't tasted, and also creative, fun and tasty.
Is there a local producer that you use, or a local ingredient that you can tell us about?
I think we're trying to, because, we're trying to be seasonal. So sometimes the farmers, they plant something in a particular season, and then after 3 or 4 months, they move into something else. So sometimes it's really hard to say, oh, yeah, just go and pick up this from this farm. And then people go and say, oh, no, we don't have it anymore. And people's like, okay. And now I don't know what to do. We use Byron Bay mozzarella for our cheese. We buy our venison from Fair Game from Jonas. You actually have him in your podcast as well. We have some of our veggies from Red Hot Farm. So we just trying to support the community in any way we can with the products.
What surprised you about running your own business compared to working as a chef for someone else?
I think it's just 24 hours. You think it's like having a baby. Absolutely like having a baby. It's like he never sleeps. It's like I guess it's like, being a parent at the beginning when you have a newborn baby and you just have to look after them, and they're just constant attention. You have to dedicate your life to them, and it's the same for the business. It's very demanding, but at the same time very rewarding, because when you see the smile on people's faces when they come for dinner and they spend the occasions, like the anniversary or the birthdays in here, and they go home with a smile and they have a great time, is a prize that you can't put a price on that, and that are the rewards that you get when you think, yes, this is hard work, but it's really worth it to give people the smile.
Ballina is a very small town in a beautiful part of Australia. What led to the move there?
Well, Rosa moved here. She moved to Byron 5 years ago, and she loved it. She loved the area, but obviously she could not afford to live in Byron, so she moved to Ballina. And it's a lovely town. It's low-key. And we actually, we commute for 3 years. I didn't want to come to Ballina. I live in Sydney. I was very happy. And at some point, it's like, look, we're spending too much money on airfares, and I don't really want to be traveling every weekend. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm coming. So, we were supposed to go overseas last year, and then COVID happened. So I just moved to Ballina before the first lockdown. I thought, wow, great timing.
What do you hope people experience when they come to Lola's?
Yeah, I think what we want people to experience is our sense of what food and people means to us, coming together and sharing just that moment with your loved ones, and surrounded by food and creativity and fun. I don't know.
What do you love about what you do?
I think it's something special when someone who loves you cooks for you. I think it's an intimate, very connecting moment when someone actually puts their heart into something, and I truly believe that when you are loving something and you put your heart in, it's actually transmitted to other people. You really can feel the love that you put on something. And I think I'm sure it relates to all the areas, but I think with food, it really connects with me. So I really hope that people can feel that it's is nourishing.
It's been a bit of a bumpy ride the last year and a half, but you've opened the restaurant and people are coming in now. What are you looking forward to as it heats up and summer approaches?
I think we are looking to a very busy season because obviously as humans we've been deprived of one of the things that we love the most. I think eating out, connecting with people, our families, and I think everyone is ready for a party in good times. I think we expecting a busy season, but it's great for us. It's great. It's what we like to do. We like to cook for people, giving good food, good wine, and great times.
Well, Olivia, I think we're all looking forward to that, and we've loved having you on Deep in the Weeds today to hear your story. Please keep in touch.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll catch up again soon.
Okay, thanks, Huck.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.